everybody. It's Teepa and Matthew, and we are together at Snow Approach. Yay! We're at our annual retreat, and recently I was asked to address a question, and I did at some depth. But what I want to do here is just something quick, which is the question was, why is it when people living with dementia get like a urinary tract infection, like it all comes apart, like they're delirious, they don't know where they are, they're moving around, they can't settle, they're not sleeping, or they're so somnolent you can't wake them up. And yet it can take a little while to figure out what's going on. And my answer is central nervous system dysfunction. When someone is living with dementia, and even in the early state, what we recognize is the cortical brain differences, the thinking brain differences. So differences in the ability of the brain to think things through, be logical, reasonable. But what's also changing is the wiring into the deeper brain. And when we think about the hippocampus, which is learning and memory and wayfinding, we've talked about it a lot. But the other connection is the thalamic and the hypothalamic connection. And then the wiring into systems that are controlled by those. So if I have a dysfunction in wiring, what can happen is I could have an infection. And my brain is not noticing the symptom of the infection because I'm not getting it message getting sent up. Oh, there's some invader here. So because I'm not getting the invader message, bacteria are here, we've got to do something. I don't really mount an immune reaction.
Yeah.
And when I don't get immune reaction, that infection gets worse, and then there's an inflammation around it. Because my body's trying to react to it, but I'm slow to notice my brain is slow to notice what's going on. What it also means is I might not notice symptoms that you would notice, like a burning when you urinate, or a need to go frequently, or the fact that your kidneys are killing you. It feels like your kidneys, your adrenals. In other words, you've got an infection that is actually moving up the system. And if we don't notice that, but we do notice the changes in abilities, what we could do is say, oh, well, they might be just getting worse than their dementia. And it's like, hang on. Because the other symptom that might not happen right away is a fever.
Yeah.
So when we add all that together, it means when you have a sudden change in somebody, and it frequently, I will say, those of you who are living this experience will go, ooh, I bet it's it. And the next thing you tend to say is UTI, but I would encourage you to expand that option. Because if you just think UTI and it turns out, well, they test and they test again and it doesn't seem to be UTI, it could be an infection or an inflammation elsewhere. So oral care, like, sinuses.
Yeah.
It could also be in other tissue. You could have problems that you're having, a leg ulcer. We just had a situation where because of diabetes and because of peripheral neuropathies, the guy is still fairly intact. And so he fell. And when they evaluated, it's like his blood pressure was all over the place. And he was like really weak and yucky. And turned out he had 2 wounds on his legs that had become infected. And he had ulcerations. And his wife didn't realize it because he didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
Which means he didn't have a symptom of pain.
No, it wasn't.
He missed it.
Yeah, well, and so it makes me curious, Teepa, when you say miss it, so that idea of interpretation of the sensation.
Yeah.
So if my brain isn't interpreting what the signal is that's coming up, is that's pain.
Yeah.
That being the why that they're not going ow, ooh, or something.
But it also means that I'm not getting the message that there's an infection, so I don't send a bunch of white cells down there. I don't manufacture a whole bunch of white cells to sort of go and get the invader. But then I can overreact. And so then what can happen is go the opposite direction, where I over-respond, and then I get this massive swelling. And it's like, whoa, what is going on here? Or bleeding upon urination. So it's like, oh my heavens. But the person doesn't necessarily get the connections. So we have all these issues going on. So anyway, I did a video on that because someone said, help me understand this. So what I thought we'd do this morning is just sort of lay out the basics. If you want to know more, want to learn more, check out the video that we did. We'll put the link in, and we'll make sure we make it available to you. or if you have other questions about why is this happening, ask, because our goal is to hear what you have to say, try to figure out if we know the answer already, or go and investigate the answer, because we don't want to ignore your questions. And so we have a couple others that might be coming up, but for right now, this was one that did come up. Thanks, everybody. Take care of yourself, take care with your care, and if you're not sure, ask.
Thank you, Teepa. Bye, everybody.